All right, Sports Rewind Digital, we're live tonight with Matt. Matt, we're talking F1. We've got a little visitor behind me.
Star of the show.
F1. What's? Hang on a second, buddy.
My body and I put some undies on.
Good boy.
And
You want to say hello to everybody?
Comb my hair.
Yeah, cool. All right, out you go, bud. We had a visitor straight up early on in the show, Matt.
Star of the
Thanks
show,
for
mate.
joining me live, mate. We're going to talk some F1. So the review of the latest Grand Prix in Spain.
Yeah. But when I put it down to an absolute classic, it wasn't a bad one. I mean, it livened up in the last 10 laps after the safety car, but the first 50 odd were a bit of a draw.
Plenty of controversy, though.
Yes, yeah, we can always rely on Mr. Verstappen to throw a tantrum and give us some drama, and he hasn't failed to deliver yet again. He's the main talking point leaving Spain. Well, apart from Mr. Stroll as well.
Yeah, I only caught a little bit of hearsays with Mr. Stroll. Lots of reports of maybe banging a wall or something like that.
Yeah, the official line from Aston Martin is that apparently that crash that he off of his bike that he had on his bike in 2023, he's been suffering with his hands for 6 weeks. Now, all of a sudden, there's rumours going around from the BBC, which apparently is quite a well-renowned sort of pundit in the paddock. So it doesn't look like it's some kind of just rubbish report. That apparently after qualifying, he threw a massive hissy fit, swore at the team members in the garage, and punched a wall. And might have broken his hand and now needs surgery.
That's interesting move for a guy that uses his hands a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's under pressure because people are realising he's not as good as what his dad wants him to be. So he's under a lot of pressure because if that team needs to and wants to move up for a title assault in the future, Stroll's not going to be the one to deliver it.
What do you reckon will happen, though, if, if Stroll, if his dad moves on or takes the money, obviously Stroll will be gone, but do you think his old boy will still continue if they take Lance Stroll out of a seat?
I wouldn't be surprised. I said earlier in the season, I think that Aston Martin will be sold. Whether it's Honda, which is pretty unlikely, but I think the Saudis are most likely to take it over. The Saudis got so much involvement in that team now, and the Aston Martin car company is just hemorrhaging money. And I think Stroll Senior has realised now that there's a big difference between the fashion industry and the car industry. So I wouldn't be surprised if some point during the course of this season it's announced that the Saudis have bought it, the Strolls are leaving. The bet was Max Verstappen going to Aston Martin, but I don't think that's going to happen now because, one, Max can't get out of his contract because it's now been revealed about his contract for Austria. And also we've got the whole Yuki Tsunoda situation. Yuki's going to need to be found a seat somewhere for Honda.
Yep. Interesting, mate. All right. You want to run us through, I guess, Spain. Mate, this is new to me. So obviously you're used to doing your F1 chats, and I usually get them about 3 a.m. My time. If I'm on the end of a night shift, I sort of catch them that sort of time. If not, I watch the replay. Let's run us through the Spain Grand Prix.
Yeah, so as I say, bit of a dodgy one. Just the first 50 odd laps. Not going to lie, I fell asleep a couple of occasions until the missus poked me in the ribs and said, "Wake up!" I was like, and it wasn't exactly the most exciting triple header, but the safety car late on kind of spiced things up a little bit. The only thing I will say is that at least there was a little bit of overtaking, unlike Monaco, during the course of the race. For me, though, I have to say early on, I think Nico Hülkenberg was the absolute star of the day. And it wasn't as though it was a fluke result either. He got points for that Sauber team on merit. He was bang on the pace all weekend. So for me, he was the star. It looks also as though it's going to be the penultimate Spanish Grand Prix at Barcelona because we've got Madrid joining next year.
Okay.
And Barcelona's likely to fall off the calendar. And obviously, your lad, Oscar Piastri, just ran away and hid. Went and ran away with a win.
What a legend. Mate, I know this. I'm going to show you this one. This one's from an Aussie classic newspaper. All the Aussies will have a bit of a giggle at this one. Piastri says F1's a piece of piss compared to dodging trams through Melbourne's hook turns on his L's. Pretty sort of thing. If you've ever driven a car in Melbourne and tried to turn right from that left lane, it is a bit of a mission. The only state in Australia where you turn right from the left-hand lane, but yeah,
it can't be it can't be as confusing as America, surely, because America you can go on red lights and all sorts. I don't want to drive in America ever.
Yeah, right. Okay, didn't know that. But he's doing a great job, isn't he? He's
bombing it this year.
Absolutely love watching him race, and he's just so relaxed about it all. That's what I like the most, I think.
He's just so cool-headed. I mean, although obviously I'm supporting Lando, in fairness, I was always really a Jenson Button fan, really, but I support Lando now. And I'd love Lando to get the title, but I just think he shot himself in the foot last year. He's missed his chance. And Oscar's just another league.
Yeah.
You know, he's just, considering this is only his third season in F1, and he's already, he sorted out his racecraft last year. He's sorted out his qualifying this year. He's just becoming the all-round package now.
Well, how many poles has he got this year? Is it 4?
I think it's 4, and he's just got I think it's his 6th career win now, 6th or 7th.
Yeah. He's killing it.
He is. He's got more wins on paper now than Lando as well, considering the amount of years that Lando's been in. I know, obviously, Lando's not had the car for most of his career, but he's just stepped it above, and I think he's going to wrap up this year's championship. It's far too early to say. We've got engine retirements, and the Mercedes engine is looking a little bit shaky at the minute, but he's certainly the favourite for me.
Yeah. No, he's looking solid. I mean, they'll between him and Lando, there's been a bit in the media the last couple of weeks about is there a number one? Are they going to push for somebody to be the number one driver? I think Piastri's sort of sorting that out, who is the number one driver at the moment. And but McLaren has sort of come out and said that there is no number one. We've got 2 number ones, and they're going to let them fight it out or duke it out. So I guess unless there's an incident where one of them runs another one off the road and they get no points that weekend, I think they'll let it go for as long as they can.
I think they'll just let them race at the end of the day, because let's face it, McLaren are so far ahead in the Constructors' Championship now. They've already got one hand on that, so they've not really got no stress there. All they've got to do is just keep an eye on Max Verstappen over the next few races. They can just let them get on with it. As long as they don't do nothing. I mean, obviously, Oscar in qualifying called Lando a little bit sneaky because he managed to get the slipstream just as he was going on to his qualifying lap. So I don't think Oscar was too impressed with that. But end of the day, when it comes to it and it's sort of balls to the wall time, he just nails it. And in qualifying at the moment, he's just awesome. He's just supreme. And that was the one thing that Lando had over Oscar. And Oscar's just pummeling him.
Yeah. No, he's killing it. Mate, so you mentioned the results there earlier, and you're talking about Nico Hülkenberg coming away with a 5th place in the race on Sunday. Clearly the driver of the weekend. That was what an effort, though. Like, he's just come from nowhere all year to sort it out for this weekend just gone.
Yeah, he had a fantastic performance, and it was on merit, as I say. The Sauber team bought some decent updates. I think they also got helped as well by this whole flexi wing thing. I mean, everyone was all throwing everything at McLaren, saying they were cooling their tyres with water and they were being underhand with sensors, and flexi wings supposedly was being outlawed this weekend. McLaren just moved on. But the only thing it did do is it seems to have brought some of the teams up, like Sauber. And then the kind of the concern perhaps is someone like Williams who all of a sudden dropped like a stone this weekend. But Sauber were bang on it.
Explain the flexi wing to us for those that don't really understand the flexi wing.
So obviously you can't have a rigid wing. You can't have a rigid wing, because otherwise what would happen is it would just snap under the load. So every wing flexes to a degree, but there's been some accusations, namely from Red Bull, that over the past 3-4 weeks, they've been going to the FIA saying McLaren are doing this, McLaren are doing that. And every time the FIA have been going, no, they're not. No, they're not. They've been checking them. And obviously, everybody's had this suspicion that the front wings have been flexing a little bit too much on the McLaren. Going into this weekend, everyone actually thought it was going to be Ferrari with the most to gain. Don't look like that's happened, because it certainly didn't help Lewis. But McLaren just proved yet again that no matter the suspicion on them, they're not doing anything underhand. The problem is that because the wings are designed to flex, where do you stop that line on the tolerance? And it's just impossible, really, to count on it.
Yeah, it'd be pretty crazy to I guess, draw a line on the flex, because how would they do that to start with? But anyway, interesting. I didn't know a great deal about the rules in regards to that, the flexing wing. So it's a good one.
Everybody was up in uproar at the beginning of the season because they wanted it all bought in from round 1. But for some reason, the FIA made it round 8. So everyone was kind of like, well, what's going on? Why have you done it so late? But it didn't matter. We move on now, put it to bed now, just shut all the naysayers up.
Fair. Mate, let's run through the, I guess, the placings from the weekend. I'm just trying to share this screen. Hopefully it works this time. We tried before. Here we go. There we go. Sorry, mate.
There we go. That's all right. So obviously we had Aussie, Oscar Piastri in first, followed by Lando in a McLaren 1-2. Just dominant, but great result for Charles Leclerc, who just seems to be killing Lewis Hamilton's career with every race that goes. Lewis now, unfortunately, is consistently just 0.3 of a second per lap behind him. It's just getting a bit embarrassing now. It's time to call it quits, I think. Georgie Russell, or as I call him, Woody from Toy Story. Another sensible race and managed to carry the car home with a little bit of damage after Max threw a tantrum. Nico Hulkenberg ran his Sauber, as we said earlier, in a fantastic 5th. Lewis down in a dreadful 6th and pummeled by his teammate. But I think it has to be said as well, fantastic weekend again for Isaac Hadjar, who is way exceeding my expectations this year. And then Gasly, again, fantastic for Alpine, being it's been a really dodgy season. And finally, Fernando got a couple of points this season, finally off the board. And Max after his penalty in 10th.
The penalty. That was interesting, mate. We'll talk about this, no doubt.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy to watch, wasn't it? Like,
it's Max through and through, isn't it? I mean, I don't doubt he's an awesome driver. He's probably the best in F1 at the moment on the grid for natural pure pace. But it's just when he loses his head. And there's no need for him to do it. He just absolutely loses his head.
He does indeed, mate. It's pretty crazy to watch. I mean, what was the incident that made him, I guess he had to give back his spot. So the team announced that he had to give back his spot for whatever happened.
Yeah, so he threw a tantrum because he had to give his spot back. And then obviously on the radio, we heard it on the TV feed where he was ranting, saying, why should I do it? And then obviously when George just completely outbraked him and went round the outside of him, he took umbrage to it. So decided to try and run him off the road, which is what we see what he tried to do with Lando.
I got the footage here. Let's have a look. It pretty crazy.
Mental.
So he gives him back the position.
George does a nice one around the outside, but it's just crazy.
It is crazy. So he got a 10-second penalty, but he also lost some points in the what do they call that?
His penalty points. Yeah, so he's on 11 of 12 now, so he's only one away from a 1-race ban, which is a bit silly.
So for someone to get 12 points, I mean, what would he have to do now to get another penalty point? Were things like grid penalties, does that count, or is it more
Nah, it's more
things
things like
that.
disrepute. So obviously with the FIA's, although they seem to have calmed down the last few weeks, but the FIA's silly swearing ban, and if he does anything untoward on the racetrack or causes an unavoidable collision, so because it's done over a rolling 12-month period, he only needs one little moment, and all of a sudden he can find himself on the sidelines, much like Kevin Magnussen was last year, because he was the first one in 10 years to get it.
Interesting. I reckon we're going to see him on the sidelines at some stage this year. I reckon he'll have another Verstappen moment and make his force his way, I guess, and he'll be gone.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable. I can't see him with his temperament that he has. I can't see him making the rest of the season without a ban. But Red Bull must be thinking, well, then what the hell do we do? Because Yuki's not delivering, and anyone else who steps in that car, I mean, Sergio Perez has gone way up in my estimations, but no one else can drive it. So Red Bull probably thinking, great, we've got a real issue here.
I wonder, because Sergio Perez is their reserve driver still, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on the books as their reserve driver, but I think that's more of a marketing thing so they can keep the Mexican sponsors happy still for the remainder of the contract. The one that I would probably hesitate to put to bet on that they would put in the seat would be Arvid Lindblad.
Okay.
The rookie, and he's doing well in Formula 2 at the moment, and it would be a shock, but I can't really see them calling anyone up from Racing Bulls because what's the point? You've already sacked them off already earlier in the season.
That's right. Yeah, it's a pretty tough one for Red Bull. But what do you do? See what happens. Max might behave himself for the remainder of the year.
I think that's unlikely.
Very unlikely. Hey, we were just talking about what you thought he might do after F1, and we were talking that your thoughts might be Le Mans and things like that. How far away do you reckon that is? Do you reckon he'll see out his 28 contract?
Nah. I mean, there's been so many different rumours going around over the last few weeks. I mean, the stupid one, if it was in the contract, which it looks like it wasn't, was that they said he had to be in the top 2 of the Drivers' Championship by the summer, otherwise he's released. Then the rumour a couple of weeks ago was then it was actually top 3. Now, apparently going into Spain, it's been confirmed that he's got to be in the top 4 of the Drivers' Championship by the end of Austria. So he's going to trigger his renewal for next season. But I can see him doing a Nico Rosberg one day. Obviously, he's got his little one now. He's got his baby. And life's different away from the racetrack. They say kids slow you down as well in F1 as well. Usually drivers are never quite the same. And I can just see him getting up one day and going, can't be bothered no more. I'm off. I quit.
Go and race iRacing as Franz Herman?
Yes, yeah. He's got obviously his Franz Herman gimmick, which he done his recent GT test. The FIA now have given him his platinum license, so he can go off and race other things. And I'm pretty certain he wants to do Le Mans before his dad gets too old. So I think he'll go off. And any manufacturer, whether it be Aston Martin, Ferrari, apparently they've all approached him and said they're willing to do projects outside of F1 with him. And if he turned around and said, I'm done with this crap on F1, I can't be bothered with the politics, I now want to go off and do something else, they'd all fall over to offer him a deal.
Oh, absolutely. He breaks the record where he raced the other week, or tested the other week. So
yeah, the old Nürburgring.
Yeah, that'd be mad not to offer him a spot wherever he was to go.
Yeah, my prediction, if I was to put money on it, I think he'll be out by 2027. I think he'll do next year. And then if Red Bull sync with their new Ford engines, that'll be it. He'll be like, I'm done now.
Yep. Fair. Mate, when Stroll was out, who raced for Stroll?
No one. They couldn't put anyone in for him because everything had been done because he decided to bail after qualifying, which is what makes this a little bit suspicious that he'd been suffering for 6 weeks. Because if he was suffering, surely you'd have pulled him out of the car before qualifying because they could have given someone practice 3. Felipe Drugovich, the former F2 champion, was there because he's their reserve driver and he was ready to go. And they could have even called on Valtteri Bottas, who looks like he could be the favourite if Stroll can't race in Canada. But they didn't make the decision early enough, so they only had 19 cars on the grid.
Interesting. When was the last time you seen that happen?
Years ago. I mean, obviously, if someone has a bit of an accident in practice,
Yeah.
then it's a bit of a different ball game. But it's a long time since I've actually seen someone pull out willingly, which makes me think there's more to this story about that he threw a tantrum.
Yeah. I think more so. Like you're thinking there, he's had enough, punch the wall, moved on. It's pretty crazy not to have a car on the grid. I bet the sponsors weren't happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, the sponsors probably weren't happy, but end of the day, it's kind of, although Lance has scored a few points over the course of the early part of the season, but it's a one-car team, really. So thankfully, Fernando made it worthwhile for him at the end of the race because he was on fire this weekend.
Yeah. Mate, Verstappen was a little bit slower on the harder tyres. Strategy, what did you think went on there with the strategy with him?
I think he'd run out of tyres. He'd used his allocation during the earlier part of the weekend. So when he came into the pits and they put him on, he weren't happy because he came out. He's like, what are we doing? What you put hards on for?
I think
Awesome
that's
picture.
a good representation of it. He didn't enjoy it, did he? He was pretty average with him.
How he didn't stack it into the wall. When that car snapped on him, I thought he was heading to the pit wall as he came out that light. I mean, obviously, he weren't happy because then as he was slipstream down the straight and he had Charles give him a nice little love tap as he caught past him and squeezed him against the white line. But how he saved that from just ending up nose first in the wall is unbelievable.
Great driver. But yeah. Hey, what else have you got for me for F1 news?
Well, it never really stops in the world of F1, really. Obviously, I know last weekend in Monaco, we had the Thai Prime Minister in Monaco. So they were around, obviously, getting ready to... It looks like it's going to be pretty soon. It's going to be the announcement for the Thai Grand Prix, allegedly for 2028. The other one that's kind of ticking over at the moment as well is that we've got the new Saudi Arabian track coming soon as well. Saudi Arabia reckon they're going to have 2 races on the calendar, which is going to be a little bit of a funny one, being that the Stefano Domenicali said that F1 won't be able to go to 2 countries in the same year. So it looks like this new, I think it's Qiddiya, which is a new circuit that's built on the top of the cliffs, and then it's going to drop about 30 stories down. So that's going to be a pretty awesome track when it comes on. That looks like 2027. And then obviously the big news at the moment is the Franco Colapinto in, out. It looks like he's only got a couple of races and Mick Schumacher might be making a return.
Wow. It's like a revolving door. That seat, isn't it?
Apparently Alpine have got the opinion this year that to make a decision for 2026 because Flavio Briatore kind of shot himself in the foot and said he guarantees Alpine will win races as a Mercedes customer in 2026 and they'll have a title challenge in 2027. But 25 is a write-off and they're just going to sell the seat to the highest bidder.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, they didn't really give doing much of a go, and now,
No. Yeah, it looks
anyway,
like it's
I'd
just
love
going to
to
be
see,
in and out.
love to see Bottas have a drive this year. It'd be interesting to see where he goes in 26.
Yeah,
what's your thought?
chance
Do you
he
think
could
he'd
end
get
up
a
in that
seat?
Aston Martin. He could go in the Aston for Canada, mainly because Stoffel Van Dorn and Felipe Drugovich, their reserve drivers, both of them are on Le Mans duty. So any Mercedes customer can use Bottas. So there's a chance there he could come back, but I can't see him coming back in 2026. I thought he was in for a shot with a Cadillac seat, but it looks like it's going to be Perez and either Drugovich or Mick Schumacher or Guan Yu Zhou.
Okay.
So I don't think Valtteri is going to be coming back. So potentially a move to IndyCar next for him for next year.
Mate, he's going to be in country Australia, out in the outback, drinking our local VB with his mullet and budgie smugglers. there's some quality TV ads over here with him, sporting the big mullet and the big glasses and wearing the budgie smugglers. So,
I see his Uber advert goes around all the time over here on Facebook.
yeah,
The Australians have just taken him to his heart. It's nice to see because after he left Mercedes, a very corporate environment, and he was kind of a typical Finn, very sort of no sense of humour, very straight laced. And as soon as he drove for Saab, all of a sudden the mullet came out. It was bleach blonde. His personality come out, and it's just like that's what we need to see more of in F1.
yeah. No, we definitely do. I love the mullet, and I love just the way he talks. Actually, he's just so relaxed and says it how it is. So need a bit more of it, I reckon.
We do,
mate. Coming up, we've got Canada in a couple of weeks, 13th and 15th of June. Austria late in June, and then early July, the Great Britain Grand Prix. You looking forward to that one?
I am looking forward to it. It's probably going to end up raining because it always does here. You know, that's the best thing we do, us Brits, is rain. So I love the British Grand Prix. I wish they didn't overprice it and just put silly prices on it because I'd love to go one day. I've been to many different motorsport series, but the British Grand Prix is just... You can go abroad to places like Spa and Hungary for cheaper than what I can actually go to the British Grand Prix, which is just ridiculous.
That's like us. It'd be cheaper for me to go to Singapore, fly to Singapore, stay a week, and go to the Grand Prix there than what it is to go to Melbourne.
It is crazy. Prices that I see recently, a few weeks ago, that you can fly to the Chinese Grand Prix and stay for a week in China for cheaper than what I could do the British Grand Prix. I mean, I know they have a premium on some of these races, but they do take away some of the accessibility to just like the normal fans.
Yeah. How far is it from your house? Is it very far?
No, it's about an hour and a half, so not far at all.
Oh, wow.
It's not the furthest one in the world. I'm quite lucky where I am. I've got about four different race circuits that are all within sort of an hour and a half, couple of hours. So it's not too bad. It's not until you start going further up north that all of a sudden you've got like 8-9 hour drives.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I'm pretty lucky. I've got a couple near me, but on the weekend went up to Queensland. That was a nice 8.5 hour drive to get up there. But could have flown, but chose to drive. So I had my car up there and didn't have to hire cars and things like that. But it was a good weekend. GT3,
lovely coverage this weekend, though.
Yeah, it was good. Good fun. The Radicals, which are always good, and the Porsche Cup. So it's like a second tier Porsche Cup. They have like the Carrera series over here, which is, I believe, is the cars. They use them cars for 3 years, and then the Sprint Cup Challenge, with the Michelin Sprint Cup Challenge, the car gets used for another 3 years in that series. So the cars have 6 years of life in them for racing, which is pretty cool. Good investment, really, if you're looking to get into car racing, I reckon. Because
it's a bit like over here. Bit like over here, because we have the British Touring Car Championship, which is kind of our premier series over here, and they can kind of use the cars for on and on and on as long as the body shells are still current. So they can use the cars like 5, 6, 7 years until the manufacturers decide they're not doing that anymore. Yeah,
no, that's pretty cool. Good to have, I guess, a bit of longevity with it. You're spending $400, $500, $600, $1 million, whatever you're spending. It's good if you can get a few seasons out of it.
Definitely. It keeps the costs down a little bit.
All right, mate. Well, if there's nothing else to add for the F1 from the weekend, let's leave it there. What's going to be happening going forward for F1 chats? Are we going to be seeing you a bit more for these chats, talking F1 and bit more sport?
That's the plan, mate. Yeah, I mean, obviously, as long as you're happy to have me here, we'll carry on with a few F1 chats on a weekly basis when we can get them in, and then we'll sort of review and preview the weekends as they come up. So, thank God now the triple header's done, because they're always a bit chaotic. And next step is Canada.
Awesome, mate. All right, we might leave it there. I'm live again in half an hour for those that are still online watching now. Half an hour's time, I'll be talking to Koshi from Stonehenge Disc Golf Club. So I don't know how far Stonehenge is from you, mate, but Koshi's played baseball with us over here, and he's probably been over there 25 years, I reckon. So
Wow.
had a few pubs over there, and now he's into a bit of disc golf. So we're going to be talking some disc golf very soon. But thanks for joining me live, mate, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, mate. It's been a pleasure as always, and we'll see you soon.
Take it easy, mate.
And you, mate.